You've been cordially invited to the Sanctum of Twilight. Join in our new worshipping ceremonies and learn all about the great elder gods. Yeah, I'm not overly confident about wanting to join a cult. I hear bad things about them, but I don't know. Hang on, maybe they've got a YouTube video up or something. Maybe I can just have a look at those and see what they're kind of like. Well, they seem like a pretty upbeat bunch of fellows. Yeah, why not? What's the worst that can happen? Hi there and welcome to another Broken Meeple review, and we're up with another game where I can chuck away the box the instant I am done with this review. Yep, it's another expansion, and this one is for Mansions of Madness 2.0, one of my top 10 favourite games of all time. I absolutely adore this Cthulhu-based, not quite dungeon crawl, more like adventure style game with the miniatures, the scenarios, the downloaded content, the app. Everything I love about this game, even with the flaws that it does have here and there. But this is another expansion for it, just like Fantasy Flight do with every single one of their games. They are chugging it out like crazy. They've done it with Arkham, Eldritch, Elder Sign, you name it. If it's Cthulhu, they've knocked out expansions, and probably more besides. So we already had, I believe, we had the first edition like conversion kits, that was a proper expansion. We had Beyond the Threshold, which was a box similar to this. We then had in fact I can reach it from here because I was playing it recently, the Streets of Arkham expansion, one of the big box ones. It now currently contains all my cards and tokens. And now we have one similar to Beyond the Threshold, Sanctum of Twilight. This one gives you a couple more investigators, some more cards, some more abilities, one new monster. Yeah, only one. And a couple new scenarios to play. So it's one of the smaller box expansions. You got slightly more in Streets of Arkham. This one gives you about the same as you got in the Beyond the Threshold one. So is it worth getting? Well, if you like Mansions of Madness, then yeah, pretty much. I mean, you've probably already got this if you love the game. However, if you're new to the system, perhaps you've only played the base game, perhaps you're looking at which one you want to get first. So let's go into some detail with this, but there's only so much to talk about and I don't want to spoil scenario plots. So I'll only say a brief thing about each scenario which I have played. Firstly, you get a new monster, whoopee-doo, the Wraith. It's a little undead creature that comes in now and again. Not the strongest thing in the world, but certainly not a weakling either. Looks cool. Pain in the butt to stick on its base though, because it's got this weird sculpture where it's got the cloak or the foot curved in and the little pegs on that. You try and stick it in the base, it's an absolute nightmare, or at least it is with my copy. I know some people have found alternative means to basing these things. It is one of the weaker aspects of the game. I don't have the time and the crafting skills to be able to do that, sadly. Someone want to do it for me? That'd be nice. Anyway, the two investigators, they're pretty cool though. You've got the politician and you've got the martial artist. I can't remember their names, I'm sorry. But I'm sure the pictures will allude to that. So the politician, very good when he's got persons near him. Persons being the NPCs that you discover in a scenario. And you'll be meeting plenty of these. So he gets to key off quite well. Not to mention his influence is off the charts. So he's definitely great for those particular tests. And like I say, he's not the best at fighting or evading per se, but he's quite useful at some of the other skills. So I had a good time using him. He's pretty good in a pinch, but providing he stays close to person tokens, he likes to show off what you politicians love, the people, don't they? But I really like, was it Lily Chen, I think her name is, but the martial artist. She's really cool. Now, she has weaknesses, she's not the best at, like observation and law. So, actually observation is not bad. Law is her weak spot, but, she's got good strength, some decent agility, even, you know, a reasonable will as well, and she's definitely more for combat. But what I really like about her is her ability gives her +2 damage every time she hits somebody when unarmed. So normally an unarmed attack will do 1 or 2 damage anyway, depends on the enemy. But being able to do another 2 on top, just because you fought unarmed, you're doing like 3 to 4 damage every time you fight unarmed. That's pretty good considering you normally need a weapon to actually do any decent damage half the time. So she doesn't care whether she finds a weapon. She's better off going in hands-fisted, you know, using the martial arts. First thing she did in a scenario, I don't know if I want to spoil plot points, but no. One scenario, literally the first enemy I found, ambush, like, goes in, karate chops the guy down, takes out his kneecaps, pretty much was a machine, like taking out everything with just her bare fists. Up to a point, but you know, definitely a cool character to use. So I like these two investigators, they're pretty sweet. We'll use them in plenty enough games, I'll recommend them to other characters. I wouldn't call them overpowered. You know, some people have commented on other investigators like Rita Young and a few others from the previous scenarios has been a bit OP. If they're OP, you just use them when you're in a tougher scenario. I mean, you know, you can't balance every investigator. Some are better than others, some are situational. But, you know, I like these two. They're fun to play. And certainly I think a lot of people have been waiting for, you know, Lily to come through the woodwork anyway. I think she's quite a popular, you know, character in the Arkham lore. Even though it kind of makes me feel like I'm sort of enacting a, you know, Jackie Chan, Michelle Yeoh, like, movie with Cthulhu. It's kind of odd, but like I say, 1920s, anything's possible, I guess. And then the new cards, yeah, you get a couple of new conditions, some new items, some new spells, that kind of thing, and they're decent, they're fun. None of them are particularly like, oh my god, this is amazing, I really want this, but more variety, it's always good. So don't buy the expansion just for specific cards and traits. You're getting more cards, that's what you like. The main reason you buy these is because you want more scenarios and you want the particular investigators. Well, the investigators are cool. So what are the scenarios like? Well, you've got 2 in this box. You've got a difficulty 3, difficulty 4. If you know the scales, it goes from, well, it should go from 1 to 5. I've never seen a 1. In fact, there isn't a single 1 difficulty scenario that exists. They all start at 2. Kind of weird. But yeah, so you've got a medium difficulty and a fairly toughish one in there. I'm not going to say either of them are particularly easy though. The 3-star one does require you to get a move on, otherwise you run out of time and you can get overwhelmed by some enemies in the late game. But I like the first one. Again, not spoiling plots, but it involves you basically having to escape from somewhere. And you know, you don't know what's going on, you're finding out more about the Twilight Lodge, you know, the Silver Twilight Lodge, that's it. You're finding out about them, you've got all these persons, these NPCs that are with you, you can interact with them, there's a nice little bit of narrative and story element to it. Of course, you have to bear in mind that when you're playing this game, you can't interact and talk to everything ever, because you will run out of time and you just lose the game. It's a minor flaw with the game, you know, you do have to rush along and choose your battles, you know, pick who you're going to interact with at whatever time, you know, be efficient with your actions. But yeah, don't try to do what I did and talk to everything and interact with everything in the scenario, because you will get hammered. But it's decent enough, you find out some cool essences of the plot, you encounter a couple of, you know, new enemies and a couple of decent ones, but it's not overly combat heavy. It's more about what you interact with and being good at investigating and being quick. So that's what the first scenario is like. I like it. I think it's quite a simple scenario for complexity wise. You know, people can get into this scenario fairly easily if they've never played the game before. Right? Not a pushover, not particularly punishing either. It's nicely in the middle. It's quite balanced. Unlike the the next one. The second scenario is definitely a tough one, but it's quite unique in how it works. You essentially have to uncover what scheme is happening at a fair. It's a fair where it's kind of like a pageant. You know, imagine like Miss Universe, Little Miss Princess or whatever. And you have to uncover the evidence and fight off some, you know, members of the lodge and stuff like that. but you do it while the parade is in motion. So the floats, there's actual location tiles for the floats, and they move along, and you move with it. The spectators grow as the event goes on, and you've only got so much time to do it. You have the duration of the fair to find out what is going to happen. What is the Silver Twilight Lodge plotting. It's a cool little mystery one, and I really like it. It's a good thematic tale. I won't spoil any more than that, because I feel it would be a detriment to the scenario for you to have too much information. But suffice to say, not an easy one. The 4 stars is definitely justified with this, potentially even a 5. Is it harder than Escape from Innsmouth? Probably not. That is still regarded, I think, as the hardest scenario in the entire saga of Mansions of Madness. But this is still a toughie. It's a good one though. Not beginner friendly, certainly with some of the rules of how the parade float moves and what you're actually doing with it. I wouldn't say that scenario is beginner friendly, but the other one definitely is. Overall, I find that this one is marginally better, I think, than the Beyond the Threshold expansion. Beyond the Threshold is still great. Still love all the expansions. They haven't had a dud. But if I was to pick this one or Beyond the Threshold, I would probably pick this one first out of preference, mainly for the types of scenarios in it and the 2 investigators both being really solid. To be honest, you can start with any expansion for Mansions of Madness and you'll do pretty well. However, I still hold that I think the Streets of Arkham is the best expansion and the one to grab first. Because if you imagine that these give you a little bit of extra content, 1 monster, a couple of investigators, a few new cards, and 2 scenarios. Remember that Streets of Arkham gave you more monsters, including some big ones, more investigators, I think it gave you at least 3, if not 4, and it gave you 3 scenarios, of which 1 I really enjoyed, involving street gangs and multi-locations, start in a hotel, go into the streets, go into a neighborhood, look at what 2 gangs are doing, and then fight a big boss. It was a really good scenario. And then you have the exhibit one in there, which was, again, I can't spoil, but a murder mystery to quell all other murder mysteries. It's a brilliant, tough as nails scenario. But this is one where you'll be taking notes. So if you're new to this setting and you've only just got the base game, you're thinking, where do I go next from here? Start with Streets of Arkham. That is definitely the one I recommend first. Then, down to your preference, but personally I say grab this one before Beyond the Threshold. I think this one is slightly better than it. Again, whatever's your poison, pick whatever you like, but if money is an issue, grab Streets first, then if you can afford it, grab this one. Then Beyond the Threshold. I think that's the way I would have done it with hindsight if I'd started brand new. Obviously, I've been going in order up to this day. So not much else I can really say about it. Solid expansion, personally. Probably somewhere on the 9 as well. Again, I like it slightly better than Beyond the Threshold, which I think I also gave a 9 personally. Maybe that one will drop slightly to an 8. But to be honest, they're both great expansions. But Streets of Arkham was a 10 for me. So that's definitely the one you should grab first. So, more fun with a game I really like, and I can just literally go what? And crush it, because once you got it, you've emptied the contents, no longer need the box. How horrified is some of you now that I'm destroying game boxes? Ah well. Take care. See you on the next Broken Meeple review. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel, the podcast, and just keep up to date. Find me on Facebook and Twitter. And I don't know if this will go out before I go to the UK Games Expo as I'm recording this, a week's time actually, less than a week's time to the UK Games Expo. So if this goes out before, I hope to see you there. Take care, and yeah, remember, doesn't matter what weird ritual sacrifices you're involved in, it's still only a game, so let the young lady go once you're done. Okay, take care, see you soon.